society. And you got to wonder why. And to me, it smacks of the training we've all had. So these words aren't bandied about in high school or elementary school or colleges very often. And so you hear them rarely. And when you do, you don't, well, what is it? He's trying to talk above my head. A lot of us won't even look it up. So you hear the word a couple times in your life and you won't even look it up. I can't believe the words at my age I still hear that I've got to look up. I don't know the meaning of that word. And it happens. So you got to look up the words and then you got to find synonyms, and then you can go trail off and you can expand your knowledge and your communication skills increase, your vocabulary. So egalitarian simply means believing in equality. And being that I believe the God of the Bible, I do believe Scripture. I believe it makes sense. It's logical to believe that God is all loving and all powerful and all competent. And the only explanation for everything bad that's ever happened to humanity, it will happen today or in the future, is because of evil coming into the world. And it has everything to do with free will choice, that our ancestors chose wrong. Okay, they picked the wrong thing. Otherwise, we wouldn't have death. And before people scoff at that, just understand that believing in God entails believing that He controls our fertility. So anytime the earth is populated to His satisfaction, He pulls the plug. And we arrive at a certain age from people I trust. They suggest that somewhere around the age Jesus was crucified, which was around 32, 33 years old. Okay, so it sounds right. I mean, we reach that age, and that's as old as we get. And if we ever overpopulated, I mean, they've found Goldilocks planets. That's planets we could live on that are 10 times or even 100 times the size of Earth. So we don't ever have to worry about that. I mean, if God likes to create, and evidently we do too, He's the one that made us in His image and likeness to enjoy procreating 7.5 plus billion people on the face of the earth. It's God's call. It's His choice. Got to leave it to Him. So anyhow, so this original sin and the curse that befell us, okay, is the only explanation for all the negative things. I believe it's the cause for all the negative things like thorns on a rose. People will say, well, no, there's a need. I was researching it myself because I already knew that thorns don't stop deer. Okay, deer will eat the thorns. Goats, of course, they'll eat thorns, no problem. So who does it stop? Aphids? I mean, they're very damaging things to roses. There's rust and black spot and powdery mildew, a whole host of different diseases, bugs that'll attack them, okay, and eat the rose buds. So there's all kinds of problems that roses have that the thorns do not help with. So this whole idea that the thorns stop anything, and this is evolutionary, and apparently evolutionists are saying that the rose has a mind of its own. I mean, they try to explain this stuff, and I think to myself, well, why would God make mosquitoes? What kind of an a-hole is this God? A mosquito that can give me encephalitis and kill me? I mean, inquiring minds want to know, and you've got to have an explanation for people. And it's a good conversation opener. I mean, people want to know. We're all suffering. A burdensome, punishing, brutal heat. I mean, what is that? A bitter, miserable cold? What is that? What kind of an a-hole of a God is this that allows hurricanes and tornadoes and earthquakes, dubious war, homicides, evil people to be running over the affairs ruling over the affairs of the decent, upright among us? I mean, he's an impotent, feckless POS, right? So why would you want to serve a God like that? So if I didn't have knowledge of what I believe went askew, went wrong here, with the knowledge of the fall of man, the eating of this forbidden fruit, whatever that's a metaphor for, and the knowledge of good and evil, and the subsequent curse that befell the earth where evil got some power, I just don't have an explanation for people. I really don't. So anybody I'm talking to, that's probably the most foundational step to really helping others to understand and differentiate the difference between organic, necessary, across the board suffering. That's the organic suffering, okay, from the fall okay? And making that distinction between that and the artificial, unnecessary, manufactured suffering that's done at the hands of evildoers, men that are evil, that are working against the best interests of the people at large, that are causing the division in our land. And they're tyrannizing us through currency dilution, currency debasement, by artificially raising our cost of living tax. Do you understand? Putting more and more burden on the people at the bottom of the ladder, the bottom. So the weakest links get the most pain, and they snap, and the evildoers don't, they laugh about it. They don't care. We got plenty of strong links to put in their place. So they don't care that people are committing suicide at record rates, and they're living a paycheck away from homelessness, and they're the attitude, that prevailing attitude as well. If you're too weak, you cut the mustard here. You can't, crack this ever harder nut, this ever harder bar to reach. You can't reach that bar. Well, then just crawl off under a bridge and die. Isn't that it? I mean, what are they going to do for you? We got tent cities in L.A., and all the Democrats, and they tell everybody else that it doesn't want all the immigrants in the world to come in until we take care of our own citizens first. They're not talking about this. I mean, we got Chucky Schumer out there showing the dad holding his daughter and dead on the shores. And the media is just focused on that. But we're not going to show. We just had a homeless guy die here recently. Where are the images? Where's the body cam images of the police walking upon this guy laying dead on the sidewalk right here in downtown Chico, California? Where's that? Are we transmitting those images to the desperate migrants? Who, by the way, Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama meddling in those Latin American countries, okay, from the sources I trust, on the Kaiser report, okay, and the Mexican journalists they talked to, he seemed to know exactly what happened. Likely, they talked to, they got the Achilles heels of certain countries down there, which was any corruptible leaders in these governments, and they got them to sell out to the banking class. You understand how this thing works? This is how it starts. So people start getting desperate, then the most ruthless in society, start intimidating those that just want to live and let live and accept their ever-growing poverty and desperate situation that was caused by Obama and Clinton. You understand how evil this is, how diabolical? So they're at fault for all these desperate immigrants coming up here, and then they're blaming the Republicans. You understand how they divide us and get us to focus on this? Well, I say, Trump, change the focus. Go to the Federal Reserve. Let all the freaking illegal immigrants do its political expedient. Okay, thwart these evil people that don't want to. Let's transmit images of these tent cities in L.A. and how the living conditions, the feces that everybody's talking about in San Francisco. Let's transmit those images down there to these Latin Americans where they're desperate. Why don't we go help these people where they are? Better yet, you see what I mean? I mean, we're in war in the Middle East, but why aren't we down there helping these desperate people? You understand? You see, it doesn't hold water. The whole thing is fraudulent. It's all evil, just made up. It's diabolical. Just to keep us at each other's throats, not understanding the problem. In Babylon, confused and ignorant, in darkness, disempowered. Do you understand how this thing works? So as long as we're disempowered, we don't know up from down, right from wrong. We don't know what's what anymore. I mean, where's the welfare? Where's the social welfare? How's it working? Where's the Section 8 for the people that can't afford housing for themselves? Why are we tolerating this perpetual chronic homelessness? These aren't criminals, my friends. If they were, they'd be costed. I just talked to a guy last night. They're trying to recall the mayor here in Chico. And since I don't live inside the city limits, I couldn't sign it. I wasn't even sure if I was gonna. I was listening to what the beef was. But anyhow, the point is that as corruptible politicians, and there's people that are working against us. They want us divided. They don't want us to understand the problems and the causes, the genesis for these problems, and how these top political figures, they're delusional. It's like they really believe that on one side they're against each other, but then they work together on the big issues like the bailout of '08, where they bail out the criminals and they call it a democracy, yet they go against the will of 90% of the American people, 90 plus percent. I understand. Do you understand?